Hey, welcome to the Joe Hoff Show. It is Thursday. Is that right? Is it Tuesday? It is Thursday, and it is April 10th. Got a lot of stuff going on. I was just on with Tina Peters' show, filling in for Tina while she's in prison, and yeah, just lost my train of thought right during the show. So a lot, too much going on. Anyways, thank you for being here. Really appreciate it. We thank you for supporting us and all that we do. If you haven't bought my books yet on the steel, please do. Working on an effort perhaps to try to consolidate all three into one book. So working on that. Lots going on. Lots going on. So this country, we're just trying to save it. And thank you for being here because this is for you. This is where you're going to learn about saving it. We got a lot going on. We got a great guest today as well. So with that, let's move forward. I mentioned this and I shared this actually in the Tina Peters show right before this. A great little clip from President Trump. I believe it was this morning. And it's just fantastic. President Trump is the chosen one. I think we all agree. Watch this.
So somebody had to do it. I am the chosen one. Somebody had to do it. So I'm taking on China. I'm taking on China on trade. And you know what? We're winning because we're the piggy bank. We're the one that all these countries, including the European Union, wants to rob and takes advantage of. European Union, $200 billion. China, more than $500 billion. Sorry, I was put here by people. I was put here by people to do a great job, and that's what I'm doing.
You know, he is doing a great job. That was awesome. That was awesome. I'm the chosen one. Who would say that? We all should. We all should say that. We're all the chosen ones in God's eyes. We are where we're supposed to be. And don't forget that. You're exactly where you're supposed to be. Now is the right time. Everything is perfect the way it is. You're supposed to be this way. God's in charge. And you just need to keep doing the next right thing. Keep doing the next right thing, and beautiful things will happen for you. So just do that. Just trust in God. And that was a message I received this morning from a good friend. I don't know how old this guy is. He's in his 80s. He's just a beautiful old guy from New York with that New York accent, and must be in his 70s, maybe 80. Great guy, fantastic guy. Anyways, he shared that with me. God's got everything covered. Don't you worry. And so that's my message to you today. And yes, President Trump is the chosen one. Love that. Just love it. It's right. Step back and think about it. Who do you know that would think outside the box like President Trump has with all this stuff? Look at what he's doing. He is changing not just the US but the world. He's trying to make it better. Big effort with the tariffs. And he's not just the chosen one. Some people say he's the best salesman they've ever met, too. What a great skill set for the president. This is what hit me, years ago. If you've got somebody as president, what do you want? What's the skill set you want? You want a great deal maker. You want a great salesman, but a great deal maker. That's what you want. And President Trump, he knows how to cut deals and make things last for a long time. And we're watching him do it right now. It's just an exercise in how he's ruling the world right now in a good way to bring peace and prosperity to all of us. The ultimate goal with all this tariff stuff is if we go zero tariff, they go zero tariff. Goods are going to be a lot cheaper for all of us. Plus, he's lowering the price of gas. You notice inflation's going down. Everything's moving in the right direction. He's doing the right things. Yesterday, he blew the world away. But this is how he does it. He does it through his salesmanship. Here's a video that I saw. I think I played it before on the show. But it's this lady who knows President Trump, and she says he's the best salesman she's ever met. Watch this.
You knew Donald Trump way back in his New York real estate days.
What a charmer.
And despite whatever you say about him, even you say he's a great salesman. What is his sales technique? Why is he so great?
He is a phenomenal salesman. He's not a great salesman. He's probably the best salesman I've ever been in the company of. And I spent a lot of time with Donald because he's 5 years older than me, I think 4 years, and he was raising his company right at parallel with me raising mine. And so I did a lot of work with Donald, and I can tell you he is the best salesman I've ever met in my life. I watched him walk into a situation, for example, selling the Plaza Hotel to the Chinese out of Hong Kong, it was in Taiwan, group of Asians, wealthiest families in Hong Kong. And they were there because they were interested in the Plaza Hotel. And I was the broker, or my brokers, we were all at the table, and we were like really hungry to make this deal. And I watched him totally not pitch the Plaza Hotel, bury it, and talk about the land masses on the Hudson River and the buildings that would be there. They were not the least bit interested. They just wanted to buy the Plaza Hotel. Like a customer, I want to buy it, and Donald was near bankruptcy, really needed the money to bail out. And I watched him. I thought he was so off. He wasn't. They bought the land and built all those towers on the West River as we know it today. You know, all those Trump towers along the river. That was the deal. How did he do that? I'll tell you what his masterful mind does. He is a genius at picking out the vulnerability of someone's personality. He can smell it, sense it, and trust it. Okay? So, for example, if you were to walk into a business meeting with Donald and you're saying whatever you're saying, I've seen it time and time again, he could see what your weakness is and not physically reach over and put his finger on it, but he just could see what your weakness is and play into it. Not the nicest thing in the world, but it's a certain gift I've never seen anyone else.
Mm. Wow. Wow. It'd be fun to see examples of that. She had them. And looking back for her, I'm sure she's thinking, my God, what an opportunity to be around President Trump all that time. This guy he did it yesterday. He did it. The whole world saw it. It's like, my God, what's going on? And they're saying the markets are crashing. The left loved it. They wanted to blame it all on him. Adam Schiff gets up there and says, well, it's going to be a recession. It's going to be all on President Trump. The lion Schiff, just a snake. I can't wait till they frog march him off in cuffs for the stuff he did with that first impeachment. It was outrageous what he did. First and second, the guy's just disgusting. The illegal things he did during the Russia collusion, saying there was all this connections, lying to everybody, was outrageous. Anyways, um, I digress. But Trump went after it yesterday. It all came together, and he found out who was on our side and who's not, and China was not. Take a look at this.
Tariff on China. The tariff on China will now go up to 125% because China imprudently decided to retaliate against the United States. And as I said at the podium yesterday, when you punch at the United States of America, President Trump is going to punch back harder. In that same vein, we have had more than 75 countries from around the world reach out to President Trump and his team here at the White House to negotiate better trade deals for the American worker. We have been overwhelmed with the amount of requests from countries around the world. I'll let the Secretary speak to that. We will continue with the tailor-made negotiations that I spoke about yesterday. In the meantime, there will be a 90-day pause on the reciprocal tariffs as these negotiations are ongoing, and the tariff level will be brought down to a universal 10% tariff. The Secretary here has been a huge part of the President's trade team, of course, and will continue to lead these negotiations moving forward to look out for the American worker, which is always President Trump's goal. So I'll kick it over to our great Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent.
Good, thank you. And we saw the successful negotiating strategy that President Trump implemented a week ago today. It has brought more than 75 countries forward to negotiate. It took great courage for him to stay the course until this moment. And what we have ended up with here, as I told everyone a week ago, they're in this very spot, do not retaliate, and you will be rewarded. So every country in the world who wants to come and negotiate, we are willing to hear you. We're going to go down to a 10% baseline tariff for them, and China will be raised to 125 due to their insistence on escalation.
Secretary, thank you for doing this. Let me ask you three quick things.
Fantastic. So what happened? People are like, my God, what happened? The stock market went up, I believe, a record since World War II. Biggest day ever, 6%, 7%, 8%. Crypto went up. I noticed Tesla went up 20% yesterday. Huge day for the markets. After all these liberals were celebrating the markets going down, now all of a sudden, bam, where it just exploded yesterday. Crypto went up. It was a huge day. I saw the guy from Barstool Sports bragging about how he made $6 million just yesterday. Bought low. Now the markets are going crazy. He made a lot of money yesterday. A lot of people made a lot of money. Trump had some guys in the White House. I believe it was from Schwab, and it was Mr. Schwab. He says that he just made $2 billion today. This other guy with him made 700 or 900 million yesterday. A lot of money because of Trump's work with China. What happened with China? Well, here's the piece that I think's Besant talks about with China. Trump basically set a trap for him. Watch what he says.
And all this was, again, this was driven by the president's strategy. He and I had a long talk on Sunday, and this was his strategy all along. And that, you might even say that he goaded China into a bad position. They responded. They have shown themselves to the world to be the bad actors. And we are willing to cooperate with our allies and with our trading partners who did not retaliate. It wasn't a hard message. Don't retaliate. Things will turn out well.
Wow. Nobody, and we reported this yesterday. Kevin O'Leary was talking about this. He says nobody stood up to China before. For years, nobody stood up. You can't do business there. You can't do your business. Go to court, you don't get a hearing. It's not in your favor. They'll never rule in your favor. They steal all your information. That's part of their policy for you to do business over there. They're going to take all the information they can from you and pirate it, and then start creating widgets themselves made the same way from the information they stole from you and selling them around the world. Brilliant strategy for China, and everybody's been playing along. No more. President Trump's like, no, 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 no. We're not going to do that anymore. You can't steal our stuff. And if you keep doing what you're doing, we're going to keep raising the tariffs. And China can't do it. They just can't do it. They rely so heavily on the U.S. They think they got the U.S. There was something I saw a couple of days ago. China's going to stop selling or allowing anybody to grab these precious metals that they have in China, and that didn't work. That didn't work very well for China because I think I heard last night, and don't quote me on this, but somebody sent me a text saying, "Hey, China's coming to the table. They're running to the table." So Trump got everything he wanted. It was America first, and it was pretty exciting to watch. And the markets, were way up yesterday. I'm not sure where they're at right now. Anyways, uh, here's Trump talking about, America first.
We have, I would say, more than $7 trillion now, right, of investment coming in. Apple is coming in for $500 billion alone. We have other companies coming in with massive numbers. We have car companies that are coming in. No, we've never seen anything like it. Maybe in the 1940s or 50s or something, but we've never seen anything like it. They had 3 plants canceled in Mexico. Not that we want to hurt Mexico, but we're for us. And that's what my job is. It's not to take care of other countries, but I want to help other countries as much as I can, but we have to take care of America first, and it's about America first. So we have many, many companies coming in that would have never come in if we didn't win the election and then put the tariffs on. And they're coming in because when they build in the United States, there are no tariffs. You don't have to pay any tariffs.
It is so smart what he's doing. I saw we reported this last week on the show how UK's last steel mill's been closed because China came in, took over the steel industry in the UK, and then shut down all the plants. Now UK has to go elsewhere to get steel. This has got a manufacturing wise, they're not going to be able to, fight a war. They don't have the ability to make the goods that they need in warfare. Brilliant strategy by China. Move it all to China. Everybody's dependent upon you. It won't be a war because nobody can challenge you because they can't make any weapons. I mean, this is the real world. This is the real world. And so, anyways, Trump's standing up for America. I love it. America first. We first heard that phrase during Trump's first administration. We all love it. That's why we all voted for him. We saw the hell that he had to go through, how crimes were made up against the guy, and he kept fighting. And he's fought and fought and fought, and damn near killed. And he stands up and says, one of the most iconic phrases in world history, maybe the most iconic today, and that's fight, fight, fight. That's what we've got as a president now, and we're so grateful. He's doing incredible things, just incredible. It's been what a great few months for America and all of us. God bless America. Um, One country that didn't align is Spain. They've decided to align with China. And here's some remarks on that. Apparently, it's a big mistake.
In terms of escalation, unfortunately, the biggest offender in the global trading system is China, and they're the only country who's escalated. And I can tell the rest of the world that I'm not sure whether it was the prime minister or the economic minister in Spain made some comments this morning, oh, well, maybe we should align ourselves more with China. That would be cutting your own throat, because I can tell you that these Chinese exports that the U.S. tariff wall is going to keep out, that China, for all of you who can remember that Disney movie of the brooms carrying the buckets of water, that is a Chinese business model. It never stops. They just keep producing and producing and dumping, and it's going somewhere. And I think, Rob, at the end of the day, that we can probably reach a deal with our allies, with the other countries that have been long-term. They've been good military allies, not perfect economic allies, and then we can approach China as a group.
Brilliant stuff. Brilliant stuff. President Trump. I mean, this economy is one of the forms of warfare. We've got information, economic, and then kinetic. And economics is a big deal. It's a really big deal. And Trump knows it better than anybody. I saw with my own eyes from Hong Kong for 10 years how prosperous Hong Kong was. And then Trump came in and he put those tariffs on China for a reason. It's because like Trump said, these people are ripping us off. They're putting all these tariffs on us, and then our goods can't get into their country without massive tariffs, and they come into the U.S. and there's no tariff. And so they were making out basically millions, if not trillions, millions, billions, if not trillions. I think Trump said nearly $2 trillion a year is flowing out of the U.S. because they put tariffs on our products. And the U.S. is like, I think, number one, well, I'm sure it's number one consumer in the world. I thought I heard something like 40% of all consumption in this world is from the U.S. So it's a huge market. If you've got a product you want to sell in the U.S., and Trump's telling these guys, okay, if you're going to put these massive tariffs on our products going into your country, then we're going to do the same here. It's going to be reciprocal. So, and then if you monkey with it, we're going to raise it. We're going to raise it even more than you do. And that's what they've had to do with China. And I heard last night China was coming to the table. We'll see how that ends up. It's going to have to end up, they're going to have to do it. They cannot get by without the U.S. market. They are making a killing on the market. They need it. They're probably going to have to change things. This could damage China quite a bit. And then monkeying around where Trump now is going to put 100% tariffs on China goods, we're going to make a lot of money. We're going to make a lot of money, and that's the way it should be. We shouldn't be giving things away and then paying other countries. No, that's not the way you do business. Trump knows it, and thank God he's there for us. Now, remember, it hasn't always been that way, especially with President Trump. We've got General Milley. Remember him, the clown who was the under President Trump, who wasn't on our side. It appeared that he was more on China's side. So China's had their way with the U.S. I wanted to just remind you with this clip from a few years back. It's Mr. Milley sharing what he did during the time period of the stolen election of 2020. Watch this.
Chinese thought wrongly that the United States was going to attack them. I am certain, guaranteed certain, that President Trump had no intent to attack. And it was my task to make sure I communicated that. And the purpose was to de-escalate, calm things down. You shared all that earlier, I understand. And as part of that,
just say, did you or did you not tell him that if we were going to attack, you would let him know?
As part of that conversation, I said, General Lee, there's not going to be a war, there's not going to be an attack between great powers. And if there was, the tensions would build up. There'd be calls going back and forth from all kinds of senior officials. I said, hell, General Lee, I'll probably give you a call, but we're not going to attack you. Trust me, we're not going to attack you. These are two great powers, And I am doing my best to transmit the president's intent, President Trump's intent, to ensure that the American people are protected from an incident that could escalate.
I understand your intent, but I think you articulating that you would tell him, you would give him a call, I think is worthy of your resignation. I just think that's against our country, that you would give our #1 adversary that information and tell him that.
Outrageous. That's how China's had their way. During the 4 years with Biden, I don't think a thing, not one thing that Biden did hurt China. Not one thing. Look, you name one. You tell me one. Tell me one. They got away with everything. There's Milley helping them, working with them. I've heard from a very, very high, very, very high up individual that there are a lot of communists working in the U.S. government right now. And Mark Milley, is he one? I think so. I would have to say so. Look at what he did. Look what he did. He's putting his relationship with China in front of his relationship with President Trump, protecting this country. He's trying to. He's guaranteeing things with China. No. No, that guy's not on our side. He never should have been in that role ever. And we know now. We know now. He's a nut job, and there's a lot of nut jobs on the left. They're all just stupid as can be. In response to all this going on yesterday, there's this lunatic liberal representative in D.C. that's bitching and arguing because he thinks American taxpayers should pay more. This guy's insane. Take a look at this.
The Speaker is rushing to the floor to pass a budget reconciliation to screw America by passing the biggest tax cut in history on the backs of the American people. WTF? Who's in charge?
WTF, yes. He's saying we need to tax these people more. Biggest tax cut? What's going on here? He's like, biggest tax cut? What's going on? Is this guy? Where do they find these idiots? I can only think that Hamilton and Madison and Jefferson, no matter how well they got along, or Washington, Adams, would look at this guy and say, this guy's, he's really dumb. He's really, really dumb. You don't know what's going on. Here's Elon Musk talking about taxes, and it all ties with tariffs. Trump has said, we get tariffs coming in, we don't need to tax Americans. We'll make the money off the tariffs. Let's tax other countries and not our people. Here's what Elon says about the taxes that we pay today. By the way, I think Elon set the world record for the largest tax payment ever here recently in the United States. Let's see what he has to say about this.
You get taxed on what you own, you get taxed on what you buy, and you get taxed on what you own. And it's like, okay, this is taxes, and and then what does it get spent on? A bunch of the stuff it gets spent on you don't even agree with. So that's why we need to reduce the size of government and just spend less money and let the people keep a lot more of their hard-earned money. So.
Fantastic. That's what it's all about. There it is right there. That's that. And there it is. And there's Elon Musk. It's great. Anyways, we've got to do things to protect America. Here is a shocking admission by our new Secretary of Transportation about what the status we're in regards to just shipbuilding. I've already mentioned steel mills and how UK now doesn't have any steel. It's done. They're now dependent on other countries for steel. Think about that. Steel is used. Oh, it's so important in an economy, and especially a growing economy. Buildings, I believe, cars, everything seems to be tied to steel. So big deal. Well, here's some comments on ships in the U.S. and how many we're building compared to China, for example. Take a look.
Shipbuilding, okay? A little off page on the market and tariffs, but we don't build ships in America anymore. In 2022, we built 5 ships. 5. China built 1,800 ships in 2022, right? So if you want to be a global power, you have to build ships and you have to have sailors to sail those ships. And so the president today said, you know what? We are going to actually build ships in America again, and we're going to train the mariners to sail those ships. So DOT has a huge component of that. We're excited. But this president, he thinks long-term and strategically and understands that if there's a crisis in the world that involves our military, we need ships to support the military on the commerce side, and we don't make them anymore. So again, that was great. But
there it is. It's all about being strong and protecting yourself. You know what's going to happen in warfare if you can't build a ship. So economic, information, and kinetic, it's all connected. This is warfare. We're at war right now. China has declared war on us a long time ago. They want to take us down. They want to rule the world. We're the biggest roadblock. Biden let them do whatever they wanted, including allowing these big balloons flying over the U.S. so they could scope everything out. He did nothing about that. We found out just overnight, Biden regime and Blinken, they were worried about how China feels about it than just shooting the damn thing down and protecting the American people. Outrageous. We're done with that kind of stuff. And so we can't have it anymore. We need a strong country. So we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with an incredible guest. Can't wait to chat some more with this guy. We've had him on before. He's an American hero. And so sit back, hold tight. We've got a short break here, and we'll be right back here on the Joe Hoff Show.
$10 billion are stolen every year from Americans by online scammers. Every day, millions of people fall victim to online threats. Over 30 million spam calls are made per day in America, with over 50% of daily emails being considered spam. And that's not all. On average, over 40% of devices are vulnerable to hackers, and each person in America has 10 passwords stolen per year. Can you imagine having unrecoverable credit card debt? Your savings drained to zero, your home foreclosed on, your identity stolen and ruined, your entire life, poof, gone. Introducing Safe and Secure. With the advanced programs, you'll be able to stay in control and keep hackers out. Don't let the cyber criminals win. Safe and Secure. Shield against hackers and embrace peace of mind. Visit PadoxaSNS.com for more information and to learn how to keep yourself protected.
In every thread, in every stitch, Honor-Bound USA weaves the fabric of the American spirit. It's not just apparel, it's a testament to God, family, and country. At Honor-Bound USA, we're a family of patriots who put our faith, family, and America first. When you visit our website, you'll find a line of products that embody our commitment to pray, stand, speak, and act. As the official site for the Untamed podcast, all of our products proclaim speaking the truth with courage. We also have the powerful documentary from Professor David Clements, Let My People Go. Identify yourself as one of the few who are willing to stand for what they believe in. Join the Honor-Bound USA family today. Wear it as a badge of honor, commitment to the values that shape us, and a pledge to the bright future we will build together. Because when you're honor-bound, you're not just wearing a brand, you're embodying a lifestyle.
Hi, I'm Joe, Supreme Leader of DCF. What is DCF, you ask? We're the best damn sandwich shop in the universe. Do we sell hoagies? Well, we're DCF, and the F doesn't stand for hoagies. We got 9mm sandwiches, we got beastly baguettes, and we toast buns like no other. Looking for training on bun safety? We got you covered, and our ranges are the best place to test out your new Not sandwich. So get your buns out, cause the sun's out, and let's party! We're not actually a sandwich shop.
Hey, welcome back to the Joe Hoff Show. Thrilled to introduce our guest. We've had him on before. He's an American hero. He's going to go down in history. I don't know if he realizes that he's going down. And just like I say, President Trump's fight, fight, fight. There's a few people that are going to be talked about centuries from now. One of them's our guest today, and he'll be one of them. So, without further ado, let me introduce Enrique Tarrio to the Joe Hoff Show. Welcome, Enrique.
Thanks, John. Thanks for having me on, and I appreciate the kind words. I think um, every American that's a Trump supporter right now is a hero, and history will remember Trump supporters as the heroes of this story. Although the left tries to villainize us
All the time, yeah.
our values are cemented in common sense. So I really appreciate you. I appreciate your viewers because you guys are our heroes because of what you guys did for the president, got him elected, and freed us. So thank you. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, thank you. It's an honor. It's just an honor to be here. We got so much to celebrate. I was on Tina Peters does a show 1 hour every day, and since she's been in prison, people have stepped in and done her show for her. We still do her show every day, and then my shows follows her, and so I just was on with her, and what an honor to be with her. But she's sitting in prison right now because she came out and had the audacity to say, "Hey, these numbers changed. These files changed before this activity and after, and because of that, she's sitting in prison. And so we got to get her out too. And I know Trump's announced that they're looking into it. The DOJ, what's happened to her is terrible. So we got to fix this, and then we got to fix the monsters that are behind all this. We got to put some people. I think the real people behind bars. I'm sure you probably agree.
I wholeheartedly agree with liberating Tina Peters. I think the president has done a good job of talking about it. And that comment that you said, I saw that. There's a lot of people that are victims to a weaponized justice system. A couple of other people. I know that the president can't directly pardon her because it is a state case. So he does, and I think the DOJ is working on fighting the Colorado illegal justice system and the weaponized justice system in Colorado. There's also Joe Biggs, Dominic Pizzola, Ethan Nordine, and Zachary Rell that have their sentences commuted but not pardoned. And there's also some oath keepers, including Stuart Rhodes, Jessica Watkins, that still need a pardon. And we're pushing for it. I know I'm very patient. I know that things take time, and the president's doing a lot of things that does take time. And there's a lot of important things that are happening on a global scale that he has to worry about. One being the economy, two being the wars that we're seeing in the East. So I am patient, and I know the president will always do the right thing because he did the right thing on January 20th, and he pardoned the January 6ers. And I think he's done a fantabulous job as president so far. So I'm very happy. I'm very happy. Some of his appointees, I do give pressure on. Again, I'm very patient with them too, but I do pressure them on my social media spaces because that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to apply that pressure to get those promises, not only the promises that like we expected, but the promises that they made. One being Pam Bondi and the other one being Kash Patel.
Yeah. No, I agree 100%. Big issue this weekend. But yeah, I'm impatient too because I sat through the first administration and we saw Jeff Sessions and then Rod Rosenstein screw President Trump over with the Russia collusion thing. Brings in Christopher Wray, he's a monster. And then what happens after that is he brings in Bill Barr, and we're already Barr's going to bring the tab. He's gonna handle this thing, and he brings in John Durham, and the whole thing was a sham. And we get a bogus sentence against one bogus little guy that had was nothing when you look at the entire crime of Russia collusion from Obama on down. We want that fixed. That was treason, and we don't want to put up with that this time. And none of us. We're not going to sit around again for 2 years and wait for these guys to try to fix stuff. It's
I
not going to
agree.
work this time.
I agree.
Ain't going to
Like my
work.
loyalty lies with the president. I think, like I said, I think he's doing an amazing job and he's keeping his promises. But that loyalty doesn't go down the ladder, and it doesn't go to his appointees. I hold his appointees to a very high standard, and a standard that they said
Mm.
they would hold. I'll give you an example. Like Kash Patel said that the FBI Washington field office was going to be a museum. I know that that was like obviously not going to happen, you know. But recently, and I'm 100% supporter of Cash. In no way am I saying I'm not. But when he makes bad decisions, I'm going to call it out. Like he appointed Steve Jensen, which is one of the lead FBI agents in all these January 6 prosecutions, to lead the most important field office that the FBI has, which is the Washington field office. Um, so some people say, "Oh, well, you got to be patient." It's not about being patient. Again, I'm 100% patient. I know the arrests come, and I know it takes time. Investigations take time, but this was a conscious decision that I think was bad, and I called it out. And again, I'm going to say it again. I do support Kash Patel. I think that outside of that, he's done a good job as an FBI director, a lot better than what we've seen before. But I will call out things as I see them.
Yeah. Well, I think I'll be honest too. I really like Cash Patel. I thought he, just like him in a lot of ways. I've liked everything I've ever heard him share, whenever he's been interviewed and stuff. Spot on, knows a lot about Russia collusion, wrote a book about it, and wrote a book about DC and Bongino as well. So these guys aren't idiots. They know what they're talking about. They know all the bad actors. I'm ready to see those guys get busted. All of these guys from Comey up to Obama, John Brennan. The concern I have is probably yours as well. The longer these people are free, the more damage they can do because these people are not Americans. They're not for America. They're not for Trump. They're not for us. They want to throw people like you and me in prison. And that's that for and for God knows what. And so we've got to get these guys behind bars as quickly as possible just to protect this
Yes.
country. And
And there's a limit to that patience too, because you got to really think about it. Trump's term ends in 3.5 years, and that's a very short time away. But we also have midterms. Midterms are coming. We've seen Congress not do nothing for the past 3 months. They haven't codified some of these executive orders. We've seen some pushback from the Supreme Court, and we've seen close calls like we did just a couple days ago with the Supreme Court. So like, well, here that's a perfect example. I when Trump appointed Supreme Court Justice Amy, I was very critical
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I went in there and everybody again was like, "Oh no, you got to trust this, you got to trust that." I trust Trump. I don't trust Amy. I really don't.
Yeah.
And this proves it. And this isn't her first time. And if you saw her face at the State of the Union, um,
Yeah.
you know, it was disgusting. You know, so so it doesn't extend. It doesn't extend to those picks. He's
No,
made
no,
bad choices before when it comes to
yeah.
appointees.
Well,
Um,
and
and they probably interviewed very well. They're probably like, yeah, we're going to do
yeah.
this, and we're going to do that. Um, so, and
Yeah.
in one of these cases, right, of people trying to bash, it's a very small percentage of people trying to bash me for having those critiques of Kash Patel. Is this QAnon community? I'm not going to say the whole QAnon community, but this little community within the QAnon community. They didn't like Joe Biggs's speech on
Mhm.
Twitter. So what they did is they coordinated a mass report on his account, mass reporting of his account. And what they did is they did it in a subgroup, right, where they posted the tweet that they would. And it was very, very coordinated. They got the tweet down, and then when they got the tweet down, their main account posted that they knocked down that Joe Biggs was knocked down for something that he didn't never said. So it was pure propaganda. We're trying to get Joseph Biggs' account back. It's crazy that the hashtag that we're using is free Joe Biggs again, because his speech
Wow.
matters.
Yeah, absolutely. That sounds terrible. Just terrible. Who are these people? They're not. Again, they're just not from America. This stuff that you guys have gone through is just outrageous. It always was from the start. I watched January 6th and I saw this sensationalism. Trump speaks. We find out Pence, while Trump's speaking, that Pence has come out and said he's not going to do anything. Timing's very suspect now because that maybe was to incite the crowd as much as they could. Then they go down the hill, and then now we know that there's all sorts of people that were inserted into the crowd to create a riot. They did things, for example, I've heard some of these individuals. Maybe you've told me this. If there's a riot happening or building or events happening like that, the police's job is try to de-escalate that and calm people down. You don't start firing freaking bombs on these people and shooting them with rubber bullets and shooting gas at them, and beating them. That's not the way to prevent a riot. That's the opposite. That's how you instigate one. And now we know there's all these people that were inserted there. So, yeah, just outrageous. I don't know if we talked about this before. Did you notice some of that on, well, you weren't even there, dude.
I wasn't there, but I did get to see a lot of footage. I did see a lot of names. Our case was very unique because our case was the only one that was offered complete global discovery, meaning we had access to everybody's phones. We had access to all the video, minus, I'm sure that there's a lot that they didn't share, but we had a lot more footage and evidence than a lot of other cases because of the allegations. The allegations is that we planned the entire thing. So therefore, if you're going to make those allegations, you have to make the evidence available. And I did see numerous circumstances where FBI assets were on the ground, and FBI assets were the ones that pushed. There's a very popular video. I don't know if you've seen it. It's somewhere inside the Capitol where this aluminum roller gate is coming down. Well, while that aluminum rolling gate was coming down, we find this out through trial when we were the ones that brought in one of these FBI assets. And the FBI asset never said this. We had to find this out, but he was the one that stopped that gate from rolling down. This is a paid FBI asset in our case. And then they did have a whole bunch of FBI agents and collaborators and assets that infiltrated the Proud Boys. That's not a secret. That came out on our trial. But you know what the problem with that is, Joe, is the government did not bring a single one of them as a witness. And the reason why they didn't bring a single one, because either one, those assets did things on that day that they didn't want to reveal, like when we found out and we put him on the stand for the cross. And two, the ones that did say something said that we had absolutely no plan to overthrow the US government, because that was never the plan for us. The plan for us was very simple. We did have a plan that day. The plan was to enjoy the day in DC. We weren't even going to do our typical like security runs, and just enjoy watching the president speak. That was all that we planned.
Well, and that makes sense. I'm sorry to interrupt, but
Go
we
ahead.
didn't know that Mike Pence was going to drop the ball. I'm going into that day. I was really hoping it was I think it was, well, kind of a stretch, but the right thing for him to do was to say, hold on, we want to look at these 5 states. Let's send them back to the states to get this stuff done. And he didn't do it. But up till that point, I had hope that he was going to do that. I kept hope this whole time because it was so outrageous from my point of view, being an auditor. It's like this election's not certified. It's a joke. And so it really wasn't until we find out that Pence is not going to do anything that at that moment that it looked like, my God, what are we going to do here? But yeah, I mean, I could see why you didn't have plans to do anything. Like we thought there might be a celebration that day.
Yes. Yeah. And that's why I say that it's important to be critical of some of these appointments. Because I believe, like you, that Pence was going to do the right thing. But we always have to be vigilant on some of these picks, because look, the other day, we're putting together a documentary, and the other day the producer asked me for pictures and stuff from the past, and I have all my pictures from 2009 till now backed up. So as I'm going through them, I get into the dates of 2016, and like I'm looking at all these memes that I have of Mike Pence, and I'm like, oh my God, Mike Pence is so cool. Mike Pence is awesome, blah, blah, blah. And like there's these awesome memes of Mike Pence, and I'm looking at them in disgust. And I'm like, how did I even believe that? It's because he tricked us. He tricked us. He tricked the president of the United States. Um, and he didn't do his job that day. And I think like you said, at the very least, he should have stopped the certification of the election by Congress and asked questions. If at that point that those questions are resolved, then he could have done whatever he wanted to do. But he didn't even do the bare minimum. He didn't even try. So that is why I am critical of some of these people. And like I said, my loyalty lies with the president of the United States. But it doesn't. It has no bearing on his appointments. I'm just not going to do it.
Yeah. No,
I think,
I
look,
really,
example, Pete Hegseth has done a phenomenal job. I haven't had to critique anything he's done because he's done a phenomenal job.
yeah.
The Treasury Secretary, I haven't had to do anything. But when they do make mistakes, I will call it out.
Yeah, right. Yeah, what's his name's been great. The Percent or
Yes.
whatever. He's been
Hmm.
great. A lot of these guys, the Secretary of Commerce, he's working with these guys. Great job. Tulsi Gabbard was on, I guess, last night, I think, on
Oh, that's my
Hannity
favorite pick.
saying, yeah, great. And
Tulsi's
she
been
was
my favorite
saying
pick so far.
she's getting to they're in the Intel community, their community, they're gathering a bunch of information related to, she was saying Russia collusion last night. So
Yes.
I'd like to see it faster though, because I thought we had enough to arrest some of these guys now.
Yeah.
You know?
But there is some patience that needs to be had, and
Yeah, yeah.
that's coming, but also that patience needs to run out at some point because we only have less than a year and change before
Yeah.
we get a new Congress in.
Yeah.
We don't know what's going to happen. I think the midterms the conservatives are going to do really good, and I say conservatives, not Republicans. I think the conservatives are very good. I'm watching a lot of these races. I'm seeing a lot of people come into these races for Congress that do have that
Yeah.
MAGA agenda, that America First agenda, and I think that they're going to do real good in these districts. So I'm very hopeful, but we can't just be hopeful. We got to plan for the future. We got to plan a couple steps ahead.
Well, you're right, and we all know what we need to do. Free and fair elections, and conservatives are 80-20. It'll be a
Yes.
wipeout in California, in New York too. I was with people this past weekend from New York and California across the country, and they're like, man, you go outside of New York City, it's as red as can be. These communities across that state are red. It's the same thing like in Illinois and California. Red. Orange County was red, and I wrote a piece
Yes.
about that on Saturday. Freaking one out of every five votes in this recent election was garbage, and that we can't have that. We've got to fix that stuff. Get rid of these machines and everything. Trump's talking the right thing. If we can get fair elections, it'll be a cakewalk.
And Wisconsin was a disappointment with their Supreme Court election, but something else happened, which was voter ID passed in Wisconsin. So that's a really good first step. I
Yeah.
think that has to happen nationwide. I
Yeah.
think that Congress needs to codify something in there where voter ID is
Mhm.
not
I
just
agree.
necessary, but a requirement to vote.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Wisconsin got it right there.
Well, they did, and that's what puzzles people. How can you go 60-40 on that or whatever it was, and then you see this Supreme Court race the opposite. One thing I'm privy to, and I'm going to be writing a report about it hopefully later today. I've had this information for a couple of days, is that there are some back rooms in Milwaukee that nobody had access to, and yet there was stuff going on in those back rooms. We've got
Yeah, I
pictures
saw.
of
I
the
mean,
rooms.
I
So
haven't I
what's
haven't
going
looked
on?
into it, but I did see some pictures which were pretty disturbing. I've been a poll watcher down here a couple times in the 2016
Wow.
election and 2018 election, and some of those pictures were disturbing. Again, I don't know all the full details because I haven't dove into it, but yeah, that those pictures are disturbing.
Yeah, so we'll see. I mean, again, I shared this this weekend in an event. In the real world, in the corporate world, you're not going to sign off on the financials if there's a box over here that you can't look at of invoices or whatever it might be. You're not going to sign off on that. You're going to say, except for that, I can sign off on this. But that's the way it is in the real world. And with these elections, we're just signing off on everything. It's like, no, it's not right. It's not the way you do it in the real world. And we've got to we've got to simplify the process, and then we've got to demand that we have the same, controls and attitude that we do in the corporate world. We can't do this anymore. It's we'll run away with this again. If it's all free and fair, it'll be 80-20. And then the next 2 years will be amazing.
Yeah, I think so. I think if we keep doing the work and Trump keeps doing the work that he's doing, I think we'll be in a good place. But again, we always have to plan for the worst. 2028, you know, we don't have Trump anymore. Hopefully we
Yeah.
do, but but we don't have Trump
Yeah.
anymore in 2028. And God forbid, somebody like Joe Biden were to take, or Kamala Harris were to take power again. We saw what that looks like for 4 years, and the Democrats are stupid enough to run somebody else like that again. Or somebody worse like Gavin Newsom.
Yeah.
He's a smooth talker. We've seen that he's positioned himself to be the Democratic candidate. In 2018, he's doing podcasts. He's doing podcasts with Charlie Kirk, and that only signals one thing. One thing is that he's positioning himself to be there, and he is worse than Joe Biden, and he is worse than Kamala Harris because not only does he have further left views than them, but he's he can talk, so he could be elected, because all you really need to do to be elected in California is be on the blue ticket. So
Yeah.
let's see what happens in 2028, but that's what I fear in 2028, that they steal it again, and they steal it with somebody with like Gavin Newsom.
Yeah.
Or,
Well, I saw.
Gretchen Whitmer.
Yeah. Yeah. She was at the White
She
House
was at the White
yesterday.
House, yes. Yeah.
Like, what's she doing there? She's a monster. She's
Yeah,
just a monster.
that part, like, I mean, I understand the president at some point, like you sit there and you kind of embarrass him. I think he said the word like, "Oh, she's doing great." I would have loved that the camera would have panned to her to see what her face looks like, because I don't think he was being. I think that was like a joke from the president. The president has been very critical of Whitmer, and we know where he stands. So those comments were in jest, and I truly believe that. And but yeah, having her in that Oval Office, can you imagine her sitting behind that desk? I mean, Joe, me and you will be in prison,
Amen.
and
I
your
agree.
viewers that are watching this right now, you will be in prison too,
Yeah.
because
And
that's what the left wants. That's what they're going to do to you.
We're so close. We're so close. That's the thing. I want to just tell people, hey, better get working, do whatever you can do. Share the message, share it on social media, attend meetings, vote, donate, do whatever you can
Knock on
do, because
doors,
whatever,
run
just
for
to help,
office.
run for office,
It's
whatever you
so
can do.
easy. It's so easy to get elected at your local for your local REC. All you got to do is knock on a couple doors, and there you start there, and you work your way up. And we've done that in Miami-Dade County, and we've been very successful. And this was before 2020. So now what we're seeing is, while we were away, I'm very proud of the Miami residents that did activate and did involve themselves in the political process, because now we have a supermajority in the school board. We have a supermajority at the city council level. We have we have upcoming elections for mayor, and that's gonna look like it's gonna be a right wing mayor. So I'm very happy. I'm very happy what we've done here in South Florida, and that model, with a couple changes nationwide. I think that it'll be a great model to follow.
They've done great work here in Florida across the board. I know one guy, Chris Jersky's done a great job in eliminating bogus names off of voter rolls. He told me in this last election, and you'll see the GOP take credit for it, but what he did working with locals at these counties across the state, he identified people that are not legitimate citizens, and they brought it to their election commissioner or whatever the title would be in their specific counties, and they got rid of something like 1.3 million Democrats off the rolls and a couple 100,000 Republicans. So 1.1 net win for the GOP from a guy doing it on his own, spending his own dime doing this stuff. This is the kind of things that some people are doing behind the scene. He needs to be recognized
Yeah.
so much for his work. Yeah.
Yeah.
Enrique, there's an event in Vero Beach coming up. I don't have the exact date. I believe if it's sometime. I'll be sharing it here on the show once that I get that information. But it's an event for you in Vero Beach.
Yes, it is. It's
And so
it's Indian River Republican Club, I believe. And
yeah,
yeah, I'll be over there, and I think anybody who joins is really gonna enjoy it. I'm gonna be doing a Q&A,
great.
because I'll probably talk for about 10 minutes. I'm not a very good speaker on the microphone, but I do take in questions and stuff like that, because I think that's a little bit not only interactive, but I think it you take in a lot more when you're able to ask your questions, and that's what I'm going to be doing there.
Great. And I plan on being there as well. So
Oh, Joe,
I'll
perfect.
plan on that.
First
Yeah,
time we'll
yeah,
be
it'll be
able to
fun.
meet.
I know that'll be great. So that's coming up. I'll be sharing it on here as soon as I get the dates, and we'll be encouraging people to be there. Vero Beach, Florida, coming up. I don't have the exact dates in front of me right now, but anyways, how can people reach out and help you, Tarrio?
So the only thing for now that I have is X, and that is at Noble One. You can see it down here on the lower thirds. You guys could follow me there. The QAnon crowd is right now mass reporting my account right now. So let's see if X withstands. Also, again, we're trying to get Joe Biggs's account back online. Another way that something exciting that we're going to be announcing next week is we are going to be starting our podcast network. It's going to be on Rumble and it's going to be on X. I will be pushing those accounts to follow soon. Also, we're going to be opening up shop again. Before we had this thing where it's kind of like an Amazon of conservative merchandise, where like if somebody sells something and it's cool, we put it up on the website, and we guarantee it's a free speech platform, completely free speech platform. And then same thing with our podcast network, and it's very diverse too, because not only are we uplifting conservative voices, but we do have some liberal voices there as well. So I think you guys will really enjoy it, and I think you'll be very happy. So to get updates on that, you could follow me on X at Noble One, and at Telegram at Noble Leader. We'll also be pushing it there, but yeah, that's basically how you reach me right now. But let's see how let's see if my X maintains.
That's great. Thanks so much. Wish you the best in everything. I guess I'll be seeing you soon. Not exactly sure on the evening, but we'll get that. We'll be mentioning that here on this show. Thanks for all you do. Glad you can make it today. So much to talk about still, but you're doing the right things and really appreciate it. We're so glad you're free today.
Thank
Free
you,
at
Joe. I
last.
really appreciate that. I really appreciate your viewers. I thank them for tuning in, and thank you, and thank you to President Trump, who gave me my life back, and thank
Phew, excuse me.
these J6ers that stood their ground on that day. Bless you.
Yeah.
Stood their ground on that day. It's truly marvelous. Like, we went from
Oh,
being in concrete coffins to
yeah.
being out here and having our voices amplified. So
Oh,
thank you,
thank
President Trump.
God. What a scam that whole thing was. I'm
It
sorry it
was.
had to happen to you. I'm embarrassed for my
It was worth
country.
it.
Horrible.
Joe, it was worth it.
Great. Great. Thanks so much. We'll get you back here as soon as we can, and look forward to seeing you real soon. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks, Joe.
Appreciate it. Thanks a
Appreciate you.
lot. And thank you all for being here. Really appreciate you being here. And we will be back tomorrow on the Joe Hoff Show. See you then. Thanks.